A desperate need for water and power a week after Helene. A first look at how shattered the water system is and how repairs are going. Then trapped for days in their flooded home after Helene.
I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen water that powerful before.
New at 7, a North Carolina couple describes their terrifying experience, how they and their dog survived.
October is feeling like June, how toasty it will feel this weekend. And Futurecast shows who could see a stray shower.
For the last week, Hurricane Helene has taken hold of thousands of lives, even after the storm passed. At least 200 have died across the South. Many have lost friends and family members. Others lost their homes or businesses.
And for the last week, people from all over have done what they can to help out. Unfortunately, there are many more weeks like this ahead of us. More loss, more work to be done. Fortunately, more relief on the way.
Yes, here is what we have learned in the last hour or so. We know Helene is responsible for at least 110 deaths in North Carolina alone. Asheville's police department says the more than 300 missing persons reports they've received, 270 were found alive.
The town of Black Mountain says the huge effort to bring in food and water has saved at least 400 lives, and at least 7 school systems in the mountains are closed until further notice. 4 more will be closed at least another week.
When it comes to power and water, progress is being made. At last check, 186,000 people still don't have power. The city of Asheville has several new water lines being installed, and one of their water plants is now fully functional.
A great update. WRAL's Eric Miller reports on what more needs to be done.
Here in Black Mountain, the donations keep pouring in. This warehouse here, this is managed by Emerge Ministries. They've got everything from canned tuna to, of course, dried ramen. And with the scale of this operation and the scale of the need in this community, they say they plan to be here for at least a year. A week out, and the race to get food and water to hard-hit North Carolina communities has turned into a marathon.
We got people that's up top feeding 6,000 to 7,000 people a day in the community.
Thousands of pounds of aid continue to pour into the region, including at this warehouse manned by Emerge Ministries.
There's a lot coming in right now, but it's going to take a very long time for that to come back with water, electricity, as well as recovery of homes.
We're also getting our first up-close look at just how shattered the water system around Asheville really is. This video shot a mile downstream of the North Fork Reservoir, one of the city's 3 key sources of drinking water and one of 2 still offline, showing the all-hands-on-deck operation as crews replace roads, bridges, and water pipes feet wide, all washed away by Helene.
This unprecedented catastrophic storm requires an unprecedented response.
Friday morning, Governor Cooper toured damage in Canton, a community devastated twice in the past 3 years.
These are tough times, but mountain people are tougher.
On the ground, Cooper and FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell stressed that more help is on the way for these hard-hit communities and that progress, especially in Asheville, is being made.
Things are actually going better than they expected in the repair. That doesn't give us a time frame still yet, but they're making progress, and that's really encouraging.
Now, of course, people don't just need drinking water. They also need water to bathe in and to flush their toilets with. And today we got a warning from Buncombe County officials telling people not to harvest the floodwaters from the French Broad River, saying those right now are hazardous. In Black Mountain, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. We'll have more Helene coverage in just a moment, but want to let you know about some breaking news. The families involved in Raleigh's deadliest mass shooting have filed a civil lawsuit against the suspect, his parents, and others. You'll remember back in October of 2022, police say that Austin Thompson, who was 15 at the time, shot and killed his brother and 4 others. 2 others were injured in that shooting in Raleigh's Hedingham neighborhood. Well, in this lawsuit, a statement from Howard Stallings law firm, the plaintiff's attorney says despite the clear signs of escalating violence and danger, those responsible for the safety and security of the neighborhood did nothing to stop this tragedy from occurring. The Community Association and Capitol Special Police also are defendants in this lawsuit.
Brian, thank you. Back to the aftermath of Helene. The story of a couple in Yancey County captures the start of the storm to the recovery efforts this week. They were stranded for days. Their coverage starts with this, the floodwaters quickly filling the streets. And this is how it ended, rowing a canoe to safety. WRAL's Grace Holland shows all the moments in between.
This was as close as Olivia Cooner thought Helene's floodwaters would get to her Burnsville home.
We're not going to get flooded. The water won't reach us.
She kept recording on her phone, capturing as the water rose 30 feet in 3 hours.
I've never seen water that powerful before.
Creeping into the driveway, then the basement of the home she shares with her boyfriend and dog.
And then we started to see a couple of houses go by, and we were just completely in shock. We watched somebody get swept away in their truck. That was the hardest thing to watch because there was nothing that we could do to help this person.
They watched and waited from their living room, even considered hiking up the mountain behind their house.
I mean, at any point, we could have had a mudslide come down, and we were just trying not to think about that possibility.
By afternoon, the waters receded. Then they realized they were alone.
We were completely trapped. The bridge was completely in half. It had collapsed.
The next day, neighbors ventured out, sharing what little information and supplies they had. 2 days after that, strangers hiked in, trying to reach loved ones with a message for the couple.
My brother, his girlfriend, and my dad, and Eli's dad all flew in and were prepared to hike however long it took to get to us, to rescue us.
Good job. This was the moment she and her dog crossed the Cane River. Safely on the other side, their community faces an uphill battle to rebuild and no clear way back to the homes they left. Grace Holland, WRAL News.
Wow, what a story.
No kidding. The images that she was able to capture along the way.
Frightening.
Yeah.
She says that most of her neighbors did evacuate, though one man did choose to stay. The couple is now staying with family. They're in Topsail Island for at least the next month or so. They hope to return to Asheville after that and help in all of the rebuilding. But you see the damage. Yeah. The road was taken out, the bridge.
Yeah,
Man.
Just that desperate climb into that canoe. Oh. Here at 7 o'clock, we have shared so many stories about the recovery effort in Western North Carolina. Private organizations based in the area, first responders in the Triangle, soldiers at Fort Liberty, and of course you.
A lot of you. We want to share some of the updates on a few of those stories. On Monday, we spoke to Edward Graham of Samaritan's Purse, the relief organization based in Boone. They usually travel thousands of miles away to visit disaster areas. This week, the disaster was right in their backyard. New today, the group deployed 3 water filtration systems to Swannanoa and nearby areas. These systems can provide up to 50,000 liters of clean water a day, enough for 10,000 people. The group also established an emergency field hospital in Linville.
On Tuesday, we heard from the police and fire chiefs in Zebulon. They sent officers and firefighters to Henderson County and Mitchell County, 2 of many local departments, to head west. New today, the Zebulon police officers are headed home after a few days in Hendersonville. They provided relief to the local police officers and helped people with really whatever they needed. The Zebulon firefighters remain in Mitchell County, unloading trailers, distributing supplies, and responding to emergency calls. They've been spending their nights inside a local middle school.
Last night, we spoke to Major General Robert Davis. We asked about the 1,000 active duty soldiers at Fort Liberty getting ready to deploy out there into the mountains. And new today, those soldiers are on the ground in Asheville and other areas. WRAL's Gilbert Bays was the only reporter there as they prepared for the trip. They landed 24 helicopters full of supplies. The soldiers brought fuel, which is very much needed, water and generators. They'll be based in the Hickory area of the mountains, then span out to other locations as needed.
And for the last 3 days, we have asked you to get involved. Our WRAL Cares phone bank was on Wednesday, but you still have a chance to give. We've been bringing up the QR code at the end of the show every night, the one that you see on your screen here. Tonight, we're actually going to keep it up a little bit longer. It's going to be there through the end of the show. You can just scan it with your phone, then you click the link, You can donate right now to the American Red Cross or the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund. And of course, there are so many other organizations that are looking for help too.
The money that's been raised thus far is staggering, $817,000. Thank you so much to all of you who have contributed. There's still so much to talk about with this storm and the recovery effort. We know many of you have tons of questions about it. There's been so much circulating online as well, and people are looking for some clarity. The in-depth team wants to get you some answers. So please send me an email to Dan at As we continue to clean up after Helene, we do have to pay attention to other systems moving our way.
Yes, and I know, Mike, you have been keeping your eye on the tropics and a system that wanted to develop as it's making its way towards Florida.
Yes, and this is what we're watching tonight. All that cloud cover, in fact, that we've seen today coming from that system down in the Gulf of Mexico. And there are signs that it is starting to organize. Now up to about a 40% chance of tropical development. That occurred last night, and we're going to watch to see if that trend continues through the day tomorrow and into the weekend. Both the American model and the European model actually have this spinning up, and there is consensus that it heads towards Florida and then into the Atlantic. And at this point, I'm not concerned it's going to come up to North Carolina. The reason being, we've got a fall cool front on the way that'll pass through on Monday, and a mammoth area of high pressure will build in north of this that would keep the storm from heading up to the north. So there is Wednesday at 5 o'clock. There's a high likelihood at least a tropical depression will form, maybe even a tropical storm. The next name on the list is Milton, and then crossing over Florida and heading into the Atlantic. We will continue to watch this into the weekend. I'll have an update tonight at 10 on Fox 15, 11 on WRAL. Pretty sunset in progress, 74 after a high of 83 at RDU. 70s all across the region, 75 in Fayetteville, 71 at Rocky Mount, and comfortable weather for high school football. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s now, and by the end of the games, temperatures in the low 70s with mostly cloudy skies. Our fall cool front is on the way. The real taste of fall will be here. 77 is our normal high, 86 tomorrow. That's the warmest over the next 3 days. 82 on Sunday, 82 on Monday. Tomorrow features a 20% chance for a shower. 75 on Tuesday, 73 on Wednesday. Dew points will be in the 40s, and I can't stress how great these days will feel. And the morning lows will cool as well. Our normal low is 56, 66 tomorrow, 60 on Sunday, 63 on Monday, and then we'll be in the low to mid 50s Tuesday and Wednesday, and the fine weather continues into all next week. So an early shower up to the northwest can't be ruled out. There's some rain off to the west, probably will fall apart before it arrives. Low temperatures will be in the 60s, and then tomorrow an afternoon shower focused more from Raleigh and into our eastern counties. It's a 20% chance, so the likelihood of you seeing any rain tomorrow is very slim. It will be a very warm day and a humid day with 86 here in Raleigh, 87 Fayetteville, 83 in South Hill, 82 in Roxborough. Feeling awfully like summer during the day tomorrow, but that's about to change. Cooler on Sunday, 82 with a little less humid air. 85 on Monday. Our fall cool front comes on by. Tuesday through Friday of next week, progressively cooler each day. By Friday, the high around 70 and morning lows in the 40s. You can switch off the air conditioning, open up the windows, let fresh air flow on in, and jackets will be needed later in the week too.
Wow. Sounds good. I like it.
Helene tore apart entire communities, homes and businesses. The storm took out people's livelihoods.
Look at this video here. This is from Marshall in Madison County. Businesses in town there swept away. It's a big deal for business owners and the people who they employ, of course. Joining us now to talk about where these businesses go from here is Lynn Minges, the CEO of the North Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association. We really appreciate you being with us tonight, Lynn.
Sure, glad to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
We want to begin with a price gouging report that was put out by the Attorney General's office today. They've received 196 complaints. Most of them have to do with fuel and groceries. Others involve building repair, travel, and hotels as well. What's your reaction to these reports?
Well, that's just tough to hear, particularly in a time like this. Folks are hurting. People have, needs, and it's just unfortunate that there are bad actors out there. Obviously, those folks need to be handled appropriately, and we need to get on to the business of helping our friends and family and businesses recover from this devastation.
We know, Lynn, a lot of people are giving out, a lot of those businesses giving out free food. Hotels are housing first responders as well. And these are people who lost their homes that are now relying on some of these businesses to step up. I'm wondering, walk us through a little bit the ways that these businesses found themselves into this relief effort.
It's been, fascinating to watch the way that these businesses, restaurants and hotels have pivoted. These are folks who normally, greet people in, they charge for their services, and they have pivoted on a dime. Restaurants in Western North Carolina, many of which have faced devastation and lost themselves are opening up, and they're literally turning themselves into, food distribution centers. Hotels are now housing relief workers, and we are stepping up to try to support those efforts as they transition. We're finding things like, hotels can't do their linens, and so how do you transition from serving a guest to bringing in fresh towels so those relief workers can use those, sleep on clean sheets? And so just practical, everyday things we're having to help work through so that they can pivot to serve first responders. We're also seeing restaurants across this entire state step up, prepare food. We're shipping that in to those restaurants and serving both first responders, emergency workers, and those who have lost everything.
And Lynn, is it true that the hotels have to ship the linens to Charlotte or other cities in order to get them laundered so that they can keep that up?
It is. They reached out, immediately, Sunday afternoon, and they were saying, we can greet people in these hotels. We can put up service workers, but we don't have clean sheets. Can you help us? And so literally we got on the phone and called our partner in Charlotte, and we said, can you help with sheets? We've put together a route, and they're picking up sheets every day, taking them to Charlotte, washing them, trucking them back in, delivering back to the hotels. So it's just been incredible to see the way that people have pivoted and are doing incredible things in the face of this tragedy.
Yeah, the spirit of resilience is so clear in your industry, but also across the business community. I know we heard from the owner of a wood furniture company in West Asheville. This is all that's left of Green River Woods.
Yeah, so we're showing a little video here, Lynn, of the wall of that building that collapsed. Debris everywhere. The building was completely submerged by floodwater. The owner, Matt Christie, I spoke to him recently, and he says that he's using kind of his business connections and his skill with a chainsaw, as well as his home, to help his neighbors. And it's not just him. A lot of people are doing this type of work.
Yeah, and Lynn, that includes the Restaurant and Lodging Association. How are you all helping employees get back on their feet while they're out of work during this tough time?
Well, we are stepping up. We fielded literally hundreds of calls this week, and we are doing everything we can to try to support businesses and those employees, particularly those that work in restaurants and hotels that face needs. We have reactivated our North Carolina Hospitality Workers Relief Fund. We're accepting funds in that. During COVID, we awarded about $1.5 million in form of grants to workers who were severely impacted, and we're doing that again through this disaster. Wow. We're working closely with restaurants and hotels to identify those who are facing the most need during this time. And so that's just one of the things we're doing. We're trying to help them file unemployment insurance, all which is really different during the time of disaster. So lots of things we're doing to step up and help. People can learn more at ncrla.org/recovery.
Well, keep up the great work. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you both.
Your Friday dose of nostalgia comes right out of Western North Carolina tonight. The drum circle that unifies and heals in Asheville. After the break. If you've ever been to Asheville on a Friday night, you know the community does something special. They do a drum circle.
They've been doing this for over 20 years now. Dozens of people show up. Some are regulars, some are from out of town. They create a rhythm, a heartbeat that pulses in and around Pritchard Park. They say it's all about harmony and unity and healing. What better time than now for Asheville's Drum Circle?
Maybe we need a little drum circle in our life tonight. We went into the WRAL archive and found a story on the drums from Bill Leslie in 2014. Here's your Friday dose of nostalgia.
Land of the Sky, the city of Asheville. One of the most down-to-earth places on the planet.
How do I describe it?
It is a city with its own rhythm.
I love the drums. They're core. They're like the root.
The sound pours through the streets and pulses through your veins.
For me, it's like drums. It's like a heartbeat, and so it's just it's building, and you can just feel the momentum, and everyone is just kind of joining it together. It's pretty awesome.
The Drum Circle, in the heart of downtown Asheville.
It's a hoot, just fun, something to get together with your buddies and communicate without words.
Without words.
It's music.
It's also medicine.
This noise is what's called soothing and relaxing, clearing your mind noise.
Every Friday evening in Pritchard Park, the Drum Circle starts small and builds and builds and builds.
It's definitely eclectic. I mean, that's part of the beauty of it. It draws every conceivable kind of person, from conservative looking, liberal, and you name it. Baptists, Wiccans. I mean, it's really it's like the community itself.
The community itself. Asheville, a town that has always danced to the beat of a different drummer. Bill Leslie, WRAL News, Asheville.
As it turns out, the people of Asheville kept the tradition going tonight. Despite the damage and the loss, they came together and played the drums.
So as we head into the weekend, we leave you with these moments from inside tonight's drum circle. Have a good night.